expecting to make that. Okay, so week 1 of the off-season training is in the books, so this will be the first episode of the 8 metre, I guess like road to 8 metres, I guess I'll call it that. And yeah, it's going to be a long jump training arc, so obviously I'm still going to be sprinting, because for long jump you do need to be relatively quick. And yeah, finished week 1 now, in the books. Feeling decent, not quite jumping yet, so I'm hoping that after this cycle I'll start to do some 1 foot jumps. I've just been doing some like 2 foot jumps, very sort of like unspecific stuff, so it was like vertical jumps on Friday, then into my training session doing some weights after that. So yeah, doing sprints at the moment, just some resisted work, so going to a hill today, and that is the plan. I'm actually on week 2 now, so recording this on week 2, and then I guess I'll like recap after each week. But good week back into normal training after I think 3 months of rehab over the summer. It did suck that the injury timings lined up like that. In fact, technically rehab training since February, so February till August, which is like 6-7 months really. So yeah, not ideal, but that's just sort of the position that I was in, unfortunately, and not much I can really do. I think the good thing is a little bit of time away, I think, is always good for the mental, for the mindset. So I think it's going to bode well going into next season. It's going to really hopefully reignite that passion. I'm looking forward to just trying to string together these weeks of training and make it work out. So that's the plan, and yeah, that's really about it. So with the series as well, I do have quite an ambitious goal at the moment of trying to make the Commonwealth Games squad. So I'm kind of like, I'm toying around with something at the moment. My grandfather, he passed away last week, or 2 weeks ago now. So he's from Northern Ireland. I'm obviously Scottish, but my dad's Northern Irish. So I'm really debating maybe competing for, or trying to compete for Northern Ireland if I can make the standard, and that is a big if, because it's 785 that I would have to jump, and I think I'd have to probably try and do it twice and prove some consistency, especially since this is my first year long jumping. But yeah, I will see how things go. That is sort of like a little stretch goal for next year, but I won't really be able to know the position I'm in until I guess like indoors or like training around about December, January time, when I'll be opening up. So yeah, that's really it for this video. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to try and do this as a weekly thing. So weekly on Fridays I will upload, and it'll be a week in lieu. So obviously this will be last week's. I'm now getting into this week's training, so once this is up I'll be pretty much at the end of week 2, and this is the hill that I'm going to be running at today, so you'll see that in next week's episode. Thank you for watching. Okay, so we are in week number 3 now, just finished week 2 obviously, so this is the Monday. Just doing a little quick recap of the past week of training. Everything was going really well up until Sunday morning. I woke up the day after doing my 200 tempos with a little bit of plantar fasciitis in my right heel. So yeah, not ideal. It was maybe at like a 3 to 4 out of 10. It didn't really seem to like dissipate much when I first got up, so I did some like prehab stuff, and that seemed to clear things up a little bit, which was nice. Then had some slight issues with it throughout the day, but nothing too bad. And then I woke up this morning and actually it was at like a 2 out of 10, maybe even lower than that, honestly, maybe like a 1.5 out of 10, so very low pain levels. And it made me sort of realise, I think the issue has been that I have not sort of like planned my training surfaces well. So what I've done in the past is I have started on grass, then slowly transitioned to maybe like 1 track session a week, then 2, then 3, so on and so forth. But this time I kind of went hell for leather and just started out sprinting on a track, sprinting on like a tarmac hill, you know, track like surfaces, I guess, 4 times a week. And that's just not really seemed to help out, or like 3 times a week. So yeah, that's not really seemed to help out with anything. So I think it is just a case of let's try and adjust, see if grass works this week. I'll do grass and maybe some turf later in the week, and I'll see how things go. I'm hoping that my pain levels won't spike up too much from today's session, but it will just be sort of exploring, seeing what I can do, and then I'll assess things from there. That's the biggest thing with training, is it's a constant process of planning and adapting the plan to fit you when something arises, like this for example. So it's not the end of the world. I was kind of thinking yesterday, I was like, damn, you know, another injury potentially, but I'm hoping that I'm going to be able to train in a smart way that's going to allow me to heal from this and continue to stay on the plan. And then I'll assess it middle of the week, end of the week as well. If it doesn't feel like it's something that's clearing up as easy, then that'll maybe be a time where I'll speak to John, I'll see what the next steps will be. But I think, you know, knock on wood, with how it's feeling today certainly, and after doing my like rehab kind of exercises for it, I do think it's not going to be too much of an issue, but I'll just have to wait and see. And then yeah, that's like a big thing I was just thinking about, was the fact that training, especially for me at the moment, it's like I see it as like a collaborative process between me and THP. It's not like they're coaching me, because I'm also coaching myself in person. I'm having to make these kind of decisions so that I'm not putting myself in further harm's way, I guess. So yeah, I see it that way. And actually when I came down to the hill, I actually met some people, some family friends that I've not seen for years, and it was good to sort of speak to them. And one thing we spoke about before he like left and had to go, he was like speaking about like passions, and like not many people find their passion, so as long as you find that, you'll be on like a good path. And it really made me think, and it made me quite grateful. I feel like recently I've been a little bit down with things, but I should be very grateful because I've found something that I am very passionate about, and I want to continue to improve. And not everyone gets to experience that, so I should be more grateful, I guess, for that. So that's something I'm kind of going into today's session with. So yeah, gonna go do my skips and stuff. I've done a little bit of warming up, just kind of resting between it, do some stretches, do some skips, and then I'll getting to the build-ups for these hill sprints. But yeah, thank you for tuning in to this first episode, and I shall see you in next week's episode, where you'll see some of these sprints, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this plantar fasciitis will not come to much.